Good morning, everybody. I'm currently headed down to South Georgia where I hope to be looking for timber rattlesnakes today. Yesterday morning, I blew a tire and ended up spending a couple hours in the tire shop once again. I'm back at it again today, and we're kind of hoping to replicate our success we had with the cottonmouths on our last outing as they start to move back to their den site for the winter. So I'm hoping to see a similar thing today with Horridus. So it is super not fall-like out here today. It's humid, almost feels like May. And it's very lush and green down here still. You can see there's not much color change. You really wouldn't know it's mid-November if I didn't tell you. But I've only ever been to this spot 2 times and it went really well both times. So I have high hopes but low expectations for today. Definitely hoping to see at least one timber. And if we can see multiple, even better. And this kind of situation is exactly why we're here. Nice big stump hole, big enough for a full-grown timber to get underground. Doesn't look like anybody's hanging out today. All right, I am so covered in mosquitoes, but just noticed our first snake of the day, a cottonmouth. I was just about to say one of the weird things about this place compared to a lot of the other areas we look for snakes in the winter is it isn't very snaky, it just has lots of timbers. This is actually the first cottonmouth I've ever seen here. I'm not really sure where this guy's hole is. It isn't a super obvious den site, so he might have crawled away from his hole a little bit to bask for the day, but nice to be on the board. All right, I was able to use my stick to move some of that brush out of the way without disturbing him, but better look at this guy, nice and handsome. And he's super cooperative, so we're gonna try to leave him right there. Finally, another snake, and it's another new species for this spot. A nice rat snake on the crawl. I've always liked this stretch of habitat right here, but this is the first snake I've seen in it. Kind of a weird, almost chocolatey gray color to this guy. Very nice. The mosquitoes out here are absolutely brutal, so I'm not gonna linger, but nice rat snake. We'll just leave this guy right here in C2. No need to pick him up, he's chilling. Although it is a very open spot for him to hang out. A bird could snatch him pretty easily. Maybe I'll move him to the bushes over here real quick. Hey, there we go. Not a great look, but I'm gonna get a quick photo and we'll get closer. I was starting to think I wasn't gonna get one, getting a little bit of baws. That's back against the wall syndrome for those who are unfamiliar with the expression. Because it's about noon and I'm on the way back to the car now from the first spot. I have a couple other places I wanted to check, but now that the canes are definitely out, I think we'll continue on. But very, very beautiful. First timber rattlesnake we've seen in November. But that keeps the streak alive. I've never been here without finding a timber, and if we can find one more, it will make it true that I've never been here without finding multiple timbers. I think the first time I ever came here, I saw 2, and then the second time I saw 4, and now we've gotten 1 for today so far. But a beautiful snake. I do see where I think this snake is spending the winter. There's a big hole about maybe 7 feet to my right. My day is made. We'll continue on, and hopefully we can find more. All right, guys, spot number 2 for the day. Close enough that it should be just as good as the last area, although the habitat does look a little different. I will say the habitat has never been very impressive here. It just seems to have a lot of timbers, which is what we want. There's actually a nice stump hole over here. But see, I think because maybe there's not too many good stumps here, but the stumps that do exist tend to be pretty reliable. Like, that's a good stump. Doesn't appear to be anybody hanging out though. But I will continue on and hopefully we'll get at least one more timber on the day. I'm not even joking when I say the habitat here might be so crappy that it's actually good. Like, once you get into this forest, it's just dark, it's damp, there's nowhere for a snake to bask. So naturally they'd have to come out to the edge if they want to get any sun and stay dry in the winter. So I think a lot of snakes are brumating just right here on this edge. Granted, this is not the same edge as where we were earlier, but hopefully the same thing applies here. Let's see if we can prove it. A little marbled salamander. These little guys have been pretty common over the last couple outings, and will only get more common as it actually starts to cool off. Well, I'm as hungry as I've ever been, and it feels like it's been hours since we saw a snake. That's probably because it has been hours, but nevertheless, November can be tough, so we're gonna press on at least a little bit longer. I'm definitely gonna have to go get lunch / dinner at some point because I'm fading fast. So I'll continue on maybe another hour or two, and then we'll call it a day. Hopefully get one more snake in. Oh, there's where a timber has been sitting. Very clear depression right there. I'm gonna look around and see if I can spot it, but the fact that it's not right there probably means it's gone. But look at that, just a perfect, I don't know how well it comes out on camera, but you can envision right there a coiled timber. Well, look at that. Cane break number 2 at our new spot. So sick. I'm gonna get a pic before he dips because he could go down in these rocks. I saw this rock pile and I thought, den, instantly. And I've been walking along it for like a quarter of a mile, and that's the first thing I've seen. So awesome. Doing a little periscoping too. I don't know if he's looking at me or what. That is amazing. I wanted one more snake and I got it. Timber Rattlesnake number 2. I think she probably came out of that stump right there. You can kind of see there's a stump tucked in the woods there, but sure enough, we got our last snake of the day and we still have a little bit of a walk to get back to the car. So I'll get a couple quick pics, and as usual, we'll leave this snake as undisturbed as possible. All right, I'm almost back to the car, but here's a little green knoll. Might end up being our last herp of the day. This guy's actually kind of green too, which is a little bit, oh, there he goes. All right, everyone, well, the wind is picking up and the sun is behind the trees, so it's probably gonna be my cue to call it a day, but I'm happy with it. It's been a really good week for November, really, about as good as November gets. Well, I just night cruised this on my way home. We were in South Georgia all day, and we get back into Metro Atlanta, and I'm like 10 minutes from home, and I night cruise a garter snake in mid-November. It's kind of crazy. I've actually found a few garters really late in the year like this, and I guess of all the snakes you'd expect to see in November after dark, this guy's pretty high on the list, but still, very, very surprising. Might be our last night cruise snake of the year, at least locally, so I'll let him go, but wanted to get a quick video just because it's kind of interesting to see something on the road this late into the year, especially something that's not a brown snake. Brown snakes are like the one thing that I kind of expect to see when it's rainy during the winter at night, but very, very nice. Good morning, everybody. It is a very dreary late fall, early winter morning, and it rained a lot last night, and it's very warm this morning, so we're going to get out and hopefully see some rattlesnakes, cottonmouths, and maybe some other kinds of snakes outside of their winter dens. So let's go see what we can find. Should be a pretty good day if the weather holds. First herp of the day, toad at the stump hole. Probably a southern toad here. All right, well, there is snake number 1 for the day pretty quickly. A nice little gray rat. It feels fantastic out here. It's humid, it's warm, and it's supposed to stay warm for the rest of the day. So hopefully this will be the first of at least a few snakes we'll see. But this year's baby gray rat, really pretty little dude. We'll just leave him to it. There's a chorus frog calling in the background. It's November. There's another rat snake. Look at that. A big one with a meal. Yet again, the little guy looked like he had a meal too. Late November. So this guy, it almost looks like he could have eaten that today, like it's so far up his body, but skinny rat snake with a much needed meal here late in the season, and it looks like it's gonna be decently warm for the next week or so. So hopefully he can digest that without any issue, but nice looking snake. So this is the same stump hole that the rat snake's using, and there's a giant banded water snake. Look at that thing. It's like 3 feet long. We don't want to mess with him, but I do kind of want to... Oh, there he goes. You can see, a decent sized snake. Very pretty too. Not super colorful, but sharp looking. So Bob's here again for a very important reason that we'll reveal later, but...
Yeah, hopefully it's going to be some big news.
And Bob wants to see a cane break today, so that's the big target. And also Richard. Well, that's kind of weird. 2 box turtles right next to each other. Bob saw one earlier too, so that's 3 for the day. So I think what was going on here is this one was probably bullying this one. I think they're both males. This one's really pretty. Super red, he's just being shy, but we'll leave him to it. Very cool. Oh, look at that. That's a familiar face. That is a rattlesnake we have been seeing since 2018 as a baby, and now it's basically fully grown. This guy is super recognizable because his stripe is very, very faded, and he tends to hang out in this same little area every winter. Even his face is pale. I think it's about time this guy gets a name. What do you think he should be called? This is gonna be some terrible video because of how dark. It's simultaneously too dark and too bright at the same time because the sun's out, but we're in the shade and it's just dappled. But you can tell that's a very pretty snake. All right, we'll leave this guy alone, but Timber Rattlesnake. One that we have known. I've known this snake longer than I've been making YouTube videos, at least consistently, which is really cool. But definitely looks like he needs a meal, and it's probably not going to happen at this point this year, so hopefully this will not be the last year we see this guy. It does look like he had a kind of rough year, so hopefully he can make it through the winter, and we'll see him again in the future. Well, there's a mud turtle. Looks like an eastern mud turtle rather than a striped, which I think we've only seen striped here before prior to this guy. So I think this is just an eastern mud turtle. It doesn't appear to have any facial striping, but it's possible it's just old. I'll send it to Greg and see what he thinks, but I'm pretty sure this is the first eastern mud turtle we found in this area. Pretty neat. Good turtle find for late November. It's been a decent turtle day for late November. A couple boxies in this guy. All right, well, either way, this guy does not appear to really want to come out of his shell much more than that, but cool find nonetheless. There's a brown snake just crawling out of this pipe. It's a really terrible look at him, but you can see there's a box turtle. Really? Yeah. I walked right past that guy. So there's a brown snake. There's a timber way back in there. I don't know if we'll even be able to see the timber. But on the crawl brown snake is very weird. I'll see if I can get an angle where we can see the timber a little bit, but well, it's a terrible look, but you can kind of see the timber right there. And here's box turtle number 4, right outside of the den that had a rat snake, a timber, and a brown snake in it. Very cool. Very healthy box turtles today, too. That's always nice to see this late in the year. Visually healthy, at least. I love box turtles. They never get old, especially here as we kind of wrap up the year. These are a turtle of spring and summer normally, but they do have a little bit of a winter and late fall activity period. Like those ones we saw earlier were fighting, I think, and that's kind of odd to see in November, but very, very cool turtle. Pretty healthy, visually healthy, kind of old. You can see his shell's fairly smooth. There's banded water snake number 2, barely poking his head out. As good as we're gonna get with this guy. And here's a brown water snake on the crawl. Stuff is out and crawling around all of a sudden now that the sun's out. I think so. This dude's looking a little rough, but yet another banded water snake. He's actually really pretty in red, but he does have some swollen eye syndrome going on. Good numbers all of a sudden. It seems like the sun coming out brought at least a few things out that weren't out before. All right, well, we're definitely winding down for the day, but there's brown snake number 2 in the trail on the crawl. Decent amount of brown snake activity today. We saw the one hanging out in the den opening, and then this guy just doing brown snake things. These guys are probably our single most winter active snake. You can find them on the road after dark in the rain, pretty much 365 as long as it's above 45 degrees. And I think I've probably even seen a few cooler than that, but I'm sure we'll be seeing plenty of these guys throughout the winter. They're, like I said, very common, so we'll just leave him. Actually, we'll make sure he gets out of the trail, and then we might be winding up for the day here soon. And we're going to wrap up today's video with a few clips from South Carolina with Ian. We didn't really have a cleanup day, but we did see a few interesting things that made it worth including in the episode. All right, well, it's been quite a few hours, and this is our first in-hand herp. I mean, he's not super unhealthy, but he does have a bubble there on his face that he's going to want to get rid of before winter, and that's presumably why he's basking today, so we'll let him get back to it. But nice black racer. Other than that, he does appear to be in decent shape, but that's the kind of thing that can get you into trouble going into winter, so hopefully he'll be able to shed it off. Oh, sure enough. Oh, that's a slender. It might be a mimic, actually. I'm pretty confident I don't have it. That was either a slender or a mimic. Or an island, I guess. Alright, Caitlin just spotted a kind of cool amphibian. This is a southern chorus frog, very out of season. These guys are winter breeders, so they'll start breeding in maybe December, January in this area here in southern South Carolina, but very pretty frog. And not a species we see very often at all. In fact, this is probably like the second time ever we've seen them on the channel. But roughly reminiscent of the upland chorus frogs we have at home. And he's gone, so we'll continue on. But nice frog. He's all crumbly. Ooh, nice. We snaked a rat. Here's the old Ian flipping 10 picture for the vid. All right, well that is our second snake of the day, first flip snake. Racer's been the only other thing we've seen. A nice greenish rat snake here in South Carolina. Very pretty dude. Nice yellow color on the face. Doesn't need a shed or anything. We'll get a quick pic of him. I'll pull him out. Oh, he's beautiful. Well, this guy's stinky. As pretty as he is. That yellow color on his belly is cool.
Big chick.
But we'll let him go. Nice big greenish rat. Might be the only thing we flipped today at this rate.
Yeah. Let's not forget to get that piece behind you.
I got it.
You already got it?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. There you go. Back into the brumation station. Fall flipping is so cool. Love this. Ah! What up? All right, Caitlin did it again. She spotted a miniature frog, yet another southern chorus frog down in the grass. And earlier today, I don't know if it'll end up in this video or not, but she spotted a tiny glass lizard in the grass that I may or may not have gotten a little bit of video of. I'll have to look and decide later, but very pretty little southern chorus frog number 2. Ornate chorus frogs calling. Hell yeah. In November.
She's a 10 over here too.
10?